Hello and welcome to TVB News. The city's daily COVID-19 tally dropped further today to just over 9,000 new infections, including 129 imported cases. However, health officials will not rule out a rebound in the number of cases after the Mid-Autumn Festival holiday. Caleb Leung has more.
Among the 9,033 new COVID cases reported today by the Center for Health Protection, 8,904 are locally acquired infections. About 75% of the new cases are suspected to involve the BA.4 or 5 Omicron subvariants. In the past week, the city's daily tallies passed the 10,000 mark on numerous occasions before returning to the 4-digit level. Although there seems to be signs of a decrease in daily infections, health officials say it is too early to tell.
We still need to see over a longer period of time how things go, because there are two factors at stake. BA.5 variant, whether it has peaked, now it makes up 60-something% of the total cases, and we'll see whether the percentage will rise again. And also after the long holiday, will there be a rebound in the number of cases? We won't know till a few days later.
At Kowloon Hospital, a ward of the Department of Respiratory Medicine reported a minor COVID outbreak. A 63-year-old male patient tested positive last Friday. After further tests, 2 more patients of the same ward were also found positive. All 3 patients are in stable condition. 3 more secondary schools have to suspend classes for a week. Among them, Hanwha College in Siu Sai Wan, where 6 students from the same class were confirmed infected. 2 more care homes reported COVID cases. A total of 2 care home residents were infected, and 8 other residents were sent to quarantine. 11 more people aged between 46 and 95 succumbed to the coronavirus. 6 of them were not fully vaccinated with 3 jabs. This has brought the death toll from the city's 5th wave of COVID infections to 9,586. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
The mainland has registered 1,138 new domestic COVID-19 infections. In light of these surging cases in Shandong province, more than 400 people from one housing estate were sent to quarantine. However, some said they had been waiting for almost 8 hours on buses before they could alight at the quarantine sites. Some netizens, meanwhile, uploaded multiple footage to social media to express their discontent with the isolation facilities. In response, local authorities on Saturday apologized for the inconvenience. In Neijiang City, Sichuan Province, local authorities said residents have to stay home for 3 days except for emergencies. This after the city recorded 5 positive cases. Financial Secretary Paul Chan says only by ratcheting up vaccination rates could the city fully reopen its borders. The finance chief wrote on his blog that it had been extremely challenging to strike a balance between pandemic control measures, facilitating travel, and preserving the economy. This, as he says, both the property and stock markets have been weakening, therefore suppressing consumer sentiment. Chan added that with the U.S. Federal Reserve possibly raising rates soon, local banks might adjust rates in tandem, a move that could weigh on small and medium business-sized enterprises. Despite the dismal outlook, Chan hopes the second round of the consumption voucher scheme next month will offer fresh support to the economy. Secretary for Security Chris Tang says he has reservations about expunging the criminal records of young people convicted in connection with the 2019-2020 social unrest. But he stressed the authorities have been in discussion with the Education Bureau and other parties to set up a system to help them return to school. Christy Khan has more.
Speaking on a TVB program, Secretary for Security Chris Tang said around 3,000 people had so far been prosecuted in connection with the 2019 to 2020 social unrest. Among the 2,000 closed cases, 80% of the defendants were convicted. According to correctional officers, some 60 to 70% of these inmates deeply regret what they did, and the chance of them reoffending in future is low. As many of them were in school before being arrested, Tan said the authorities have been in discussion with various parties to help these young people return to school when they are released from jail. The security chief added that some employers are willing to offer job opportunities to these people in the Greater Bay Area so that they can have a better understanding of the country.
I think job opportunity is very important in the whole set of their rehabilitation. I don't think because of what they have done previously, they will deprive them for having the opportunity to work in the Greater Bay Area.
Speaking on a different topic, Tan said the government will launch a public consultation on the proposed cybersecurity legislation. He said it is a top priority for Hong Kong to prevent activities that will threaten national security.
Those, external forces, they are always, having this kind of zero-sum mentality, and they will make use of Hong Kong, as a tool to try to interfere the internal security of both Hong Kong and the mainland. So we have to be very cautious about that.
He added the consultation is set to be carried out towards the end of this year or early next year. Christy Khan, TVB News.
In Britain, Queen Elizabeth's funeral will take place on September 19th. It will be a public holiday for the country. Her coffin is on its way to Edinburgh at this hour. Meanwhile, King Charles III met with senior politicians and clergy Saturday after he was officially proclaimed Britain's new monarch. Tracy Furness reports.
The Queen's coffin has left Balmoral on its 6-hour journey to Edinburgh's Holyrood House, where it will be met by a military bearer party and then taken to the throne room, where it will rest overnight. It is expected to arrive at Holyrood House at 4 p.m. On Monday, King Charles and Camilla, Queen Consort, will travel to Edinburgh to accompany the coffin from Holyrood House to St Giles Cathedral, and the King and the royal family members will follow the procession on foot. People in Edinburgh were reflecting on the Queen and her passing.
First of all, I think if she would have wanted to have died at Balmoral, I would have thought, because it was one of her favourite places. Scotland's one of her favourite places, and I think it's brilliant that she's going to come to St Giles Cathedral, and that hopefully people will be able to walk past her body and pay their respects to her.
Flags across the United Kingdom were raised above official buildings on Saturday as King Charles was proclaimed Britain's new monarch. The Union flags had been lowered following the death of 96-year-old Queen Elizabeth on Thursday. King Charles again greeted well-wishers outside Clarence House. He appeared in great spirits as he chatted with members of the public.
Oh, hail the King!
He also had his first audience with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. And Prime Minister Liz Truss took her senior ministers to Buckingham Palace to be received by the sovereign for the first time. Meanwhile, salutes rang out from Edinburgh Castle on Saturday as King Charles III was officially proclaimed monarch. The funeral of Queen Elizabeth will take place on September 19th. Her body will lie in state in London for 4 days prior to the funeral. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Canada proclaimed Charles its king on Saturday in a formal ceremony at the official residence in Ottawa of the Governor-General, who is the monarch's representative and performs duties of the head of state on behalf of the Crown. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau arrived with his youngest son, Hadrian. Governor-General May Simon signed an order in council proclaiming the new sovereign. Canada's chief herald read the order in council proclaiming the new monarch to the public in both English and French, ending with "Long live the King." The ceremony ended with a 21-gun salute and the armed forces playing "God Save the King." Australia and New Zealand today both held accession ceremonies to proclaim King Charles III as their head of state. In Canberra today, Australian Governor-General David Hurley made the proclamation at Parliament House. The ceremony ended with a 21-gun salute. King Charles is now head of state in Australia, which is a member of the British Commonwealth. And in New Zealand, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern paid tribute to the legacy of Queen Elizabeth and spoke of the strong bond her son and successor had with her country. The ceremony took place in Wellington. New Zealand is also a member of the British Commonwealth, where King Charles is head of state. And still ahead, Ukraine says its forces retake 30 settlements in the Kharkiv region. A call on elderly bus passengers who benefit from the $2 concession scheme to help save public money. And the opening of the new horse racing season. The government has urged the elderly benefiting from the $2 fare concession scheme not to take short rides on longer and more expensive bus service routes. That's to help save public money. Like Granny Tang here, who heads from Lam Tin to Yao Tong for breakfast and grocery shopping every day. Out of 5 available transport options, she sometimes chooses the priciest route, this cross-harbor bus. Still, it costs her just $2. Due to practices such as short rides on long-haul routes, the government has spent an extra $27 million a year. Commissioner for Transport Rosanna Law says she hopes the scheme's beneficiaries will pay more attention to help save public money. But as the scheme underwent review in January last year, the government says there won't be another review in the near future. And horse racing in Hong Kong is back after the summer break with the opening card of the season at Sha Tin Racecourse today. The Hong Kong Jockey Club announced turnover of around $1.4 billion, a 2% drop from last year's opening. Some racing fans rushed to ring the gong upon their arrival at the racecourse, believing this would bring them good luck. Prior to purchasing entry tickets, patrons were required to use the Leave Home Safe app. People who had a red or yellow code were barred from entering the premises. Some fans had arrived at the race course 2 hours before it opened in order to get their racing calendar souvenirs. Chief Executive John Lee, in the company of new Jockey Club Chairman Michael Lee, officiated the opening ceremony. The 10-race program officially began after the ceremony. And earlier this year, the Hong Kong Productivity Council launched a future food tech lab. It showcases some of the homegrown innovations that could be game changers to the world's food processing and preservation technologies. More from Jackie Lin.
In goes your salad du jour. And through this chamber, your food emerges bacteria and spore-free. Working the magic are thousands of invisible, highly active charged particles generated by this machine. In just 3 minutes, this cold atmospheric plasma disinfection system could extend the shelf life of perishables by up to 300%, no preservatives needed. Developed by the Hong Kong Productivity Council last year, it won the 2022 R&D 100 Awards, a world-class accolade often called the Oscars of innovation. Another bacteria killer, this high-pressure disinfection technology. Put the food into this device. Automatically, the ultra-high water pressure system will break down the food's microbial cell membranes without affecting its nutritional values. Both systems are now used by numerous food companies. Sonia Lui, the Productivity Council's consultant of food safety and processing, says both technologies don't require steam, which is often used in traditional preservation methods. That means much less electricity is needed, cutting costs by some 20%. The processing duration is also slashed from more than an hour to just 10 minutes. And next in line to the market, this pressure-assisted ultrasound thawing system that could save 60% of the frosting time. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
And that is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye.